Another thing I realized, I don't know what's your take on it, but different methods work for different people. So there are people that I'm seeing they're getting like crazy results by doing high tension stretching for a short period of time, and there's other people that they need 6 to 8 hours per day at a low tension, kind of an all day stretcher for them to kind of gain results. So what's your take on this? Like, have from your experience, like, have you seen one method that works for everybody, or is it that people need to experiment with different methods, see which one works?
That really fascinates me. I think the same can be said for literally anything in life, like, whether it's business, whether it's fitness. I think there's always going to be something that works for most people, the
Yeah.
average bell curve.
Yeah.
Then maybe some other methods that work like outliers and aren't necessarily the norm. But my approach has kind of led me to this middle ground of actually utilizing both. So if you've been on my site recently, I've got a graph. I actually say that we need to use both for the most effectiveness and safety.
Yeah.
I just think if you do go for the higher intensity for shorter periods of time, you can make it work with a very strategic plan. Um, my, I guess, cardinal rule is progressive overload. Whether you use the compression hanger, whether you use the all-day stretcher only, you can get either to work to a certain point.
Yeah.
But I think both require progressive overload. But I came to the realization for me, and what's worked best for me is actually utilizing the best of both worlds. So utilizing something that requires your complete focus, attention, and privacy, which is potentially higher intensity, lower time, which is compression extending, and then combine it for mostly relaxation purposes and healing purposes, which is the all-day stretcher, passive healing sleeve, for longer periods of time, but much lower intensity. So I definitely think it's a mixture of both. I'd really like to ask the people that are getting the results with heavier hanging, whether it's going to be sustainable and can it actually get them to their end goal? Like, have they actually gotten to their end goal, or have they seen results in the short term and then they stop? Because I think that's possible,
Yeah.
especially if they don't incorporate, any progressive overload. I really think, like, I've hung heavy before. One of your questions, I think, was how heavy have I hung? And I think I've, experimented with up to 12 kilos. No
Wow.
one go and do this, like, so unnecessary. But I reckon I gained in it, like, scared shitless. Like, I was kind of worried, but I just wanted to see, like, how far I'd be able to push myself. Mind you, this was like years of conditioning, like, already done. So don't just go and hang heavyweight for the sake of hanging heavyweight. But I noticed like half a centimeter. But what I also think happened is I made myself plateau completely. Like, I just could not gain for such a substantial amount of time after that, to the point where I just thought, like, I'm not getting anywhere. I'm just going to take a break. You get to that point where you feel like you're kind of going insane, like you're not getting anything
Yeah.
out of it. So I just stopped. And lo and behold, I think my tissues relaxed eventually. And then I felt like I could actually start getting results again when I got my sanity back as well. So I do think it makes a difference, but I think from that, what I came to realize is it's not necessarily the total volume, it's not the weight, it's not the time that you put in, but it's the progressive nature of not allowing your tissues to get used to the weight. So I think that's why eventually, all day stretching at such a low intensity, if you do the same thing every day, it's eventually just going to plateau.
Right.
Many people just think about, the tunica is the main tissue or the suspensory ligament is the main tissue. Sure, it's all connective tissue, but we've also got such an important tissue down there, which is the fascia.
Yeah.
It's so interactive, so reactive to the rest of the body, not only locally, but systemically.
Mhm.
Yeah, many people like just kind of, don't even think about this tissue. So if you go to the gym, you smash your muscles, that tight feeling that you get in the gym
Yeah.
is your fascia protecting the muscle so it can't incur any further damage. It can't be torn. That same tissue is in and around literally every tissue of your body, including blood vessels, everything, including
Mhm.
the penis.
Mhm.
So this is, from my opinion, what happens when you hang or you do any session, the heavier you do it, the more retraction you get. Most people call it the turtling effect. It's your fascia literally protecting your organ for procreation. Like,
Right.
our penis is extremely important. So a way to get around this is essentially to not push it to a point. Like, I've made a whole video series on this. I go into massive depth. I don't know if you've checked it out.
I did actually, yeah. My question is regarding. So you don't believe that if somebody is stretching for, like, say, 7 pounds an hour a day for like a prolonged period of time, you don't think that's a good strategy? You think they should be increasing either time or weight or tension? Yeah.
If it's the exact same for like a period of 3 months, if you want to try it, go for it.
Yeah.
I've just found from my personal experience, so my opinion, that the consistency is good.
Yep.
But I believe it's the progressiveness where you're not triggering the tissue to react and like to protect itself, because the fascia has the same tensile strength as steel. Like, you're really not going to win. Sure, you can tear it if you push it like too far too quick.
Yeah.
But the goal is to, we also have to remember it holds memory as well. So it kind of keeps track of like what happened. Any further stress, the tighter it gets. If it relaxes, it will eventually relax. So we're essentially going with the flow of the body. So if we can do it to a point where it doesn't react out of like a protective mechanism, but each day progress enough again so it doesn't react, but so we're actually manipulating the tissues.
Yeah.
We're kind of staying in this like fine line as we work our way up.